Hello, everyone, and welcome to CCP TV for tonight's stream. We're going to be talking to you about the new Microsoft Excel add-in that was just officially released today after months of development and hard work, and with the assistance of some of the external beta testers that we had get involved with it as well. Got some really cool guests for you here tonight, but I just want to talk about it for a minute because they say don't let your memes be dreams. And the spreadsheets and space thing has been a big meme for EVE Online for a long time. But this add-in is no joke. It's actually a really powerful tool that's now in the hands of players, which they can use with Microsoft Excel for a wide array of tasks in EVE. So joining me tonight to talk about this is senior game designer who worked heavily on this project, CCP Nomad. We've got Oz, who should be known to all of you. He's, one of the most well-known EVE Online market trader. He also has an excellent YouTube channel and Discord, which you could hang out in if you want to get some really cool tips about how to make some big bucks trading in EVE Online. And a very special guest is Jakob Nielsen, who is a product designer for Microsoft Office and who also collaborated really, really closely with us on this plugin tonight. Welcome to the stream, everybody. And Oz's camera after
I'm just frozen.
You're just frozen again, man. Almost made it to the finish line. Here we go. Look, I've got. This was happening during setup, so I've prepared accordingly. So now you can look at this version of the Oz and see if he gets unstuck miraculously at some point.
It looks almost the same.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm just glad I got the right Oz off Eve, who once your camera started freezing could have gone anyway. Anyway, Jakob, thank you so much for coming. When was the first time you heard about this thing called EVE Online?
I actually started learning about EVE Online when I joined the project about a year and a half ago. So I haven't played the EVE Online before that. To be honest, I don't want to call myself a gamer at all. The last game I really played was Halo on the original Xbox. So that sort of says how many years ago it is since I played a game.
Well, you know what? I never played Halo on the original Xbox, but I did play it a bunch on PC. So it has been a while for you. So, so did EVE Online had you heard about EVE Online at all prior to this, or was the first thing you'd heard about it when someone at the office said, "Hey, these people in Iceland have come to us with this idea about making a plugin for their video game"? Do you recall when you first had that conversation?
Yeah, well, it was exactly that. A year and a half ago, I was like, yeah, interesting. I've never made a, Excel add-in or an Excel integration for a game before, so this is really a first.
And I don't think Excel has had like an integration with any video game. Is that correct? So
not to my knowledge.
All right. And this is something that the Oz can probably speak to as well, but EVE Online has obviously really, really complex industrial manufacturing chains and a really sophisticated in-game market that, rivals the scale of like some small nations in terms of like the volume and the number of commodities traded and all those things on a daily basis, which is really, really nuts. Once the scope of, did you at all, once you began to learn more about EVE Online, did the scope of it actually seem really appealing and exciting to you?
Oh, absolutely. Like, it's all about data. Excel is all about data, but especially EVE Online is all about data. And I was really fortunate that I had someone that reached out to me that works at Microsoft that is actually an EVE Online player and a really advanced player. And through conversations with him, he really taught me about lots of things in the EVE universe and how you play the game as an industrialist. And that led to many conversations about what the add-in should do. And I tried to build prototype that he was using and, giving me critique on and so on. And I think finally we came up with something that even he would use in his gameplay.
That's awesome. And CCP Nomad, speaking for yourself, how did you get roped into this?
That's actually a funny story. It was the preparation meeting for the EVE keynote last FanFest. So that was around beginning of April, I think. And we were talking about the elements of the keynote, who talks about what. And then at some point, CCP Ratati mentioned, yeah, and you will be talking about the Excel add-in to someone. And I was like, the what now? Like, and I literally got goosebumps on my skin.
Yeah.
Just hearing about it. And I was so excited that even when I went home that evening and I told my wife about that same story, and I got the goosebumps again. So yeah, get that. And like, I wanted to be on this project from day one, really. And
Yeah.
that's how I got involved.
I remember when I first someone came in and mentioned we're doing an Excel plugin. That was into the community team area. We were like, yeah, but why are you really here? And they're like, no, we're legitimately doing the Excel plugin. Once we kind of got over that sort of the knee jerk, the spreadsheets in space meme, we were like, and started to think about it and talk about it, and we were like, holy shit, this could actually be really, really significant. And Oz, I'll just go to you. You've played with this a lot already during the beta period. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm someone who spends. Everyone that watches my stream knows that I spend more time in spreadsheets than in the client. You know, that's nothing against the game. It's just that is my gameplay.
That's how you play the game.
And yeah. When this was announced at FanFest, I was there in Reykjavik. I mean, I had a presentation just before it. I was probably screaming the loudest. And for me, the past month have been really interesting. In one way, I'm really not the target group for this, right? Because I've taught myself to program and to build all these spreadsheets. I build the spreadsheets for the community, for templates for them to use and everything. On the other hand, I was a good person to test it because I was trying to replicate things that I was doing very complicated before through this add-in, and that's, I think, that's something that came to life here very, very beautifully. And you've been talking a lot about the democratization of data, and that's I think what this will do. This is certainly something where you can very, very easily get a lot of data without having to learn how to program or learn macros or calling JSON scripts in Google Sheets or in Excel. So this is very exciting times, and happy to be here.
Not only democratizing in terms of accessibility to the data, but also like I've got this right, haven't I? Like the web version of Excel is basically free to use with this plugin. So you can just set up an account, download this plugin, and start doing everything we're going to show you here tonight.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. All right. Well, without further ado, let's jump in and start taking a look at some of this stuff. So CCP Nomad, are you ready to start going through what you've got there in front of you?
Sure.
All right. Now let me see if I can get this done with a minimum of jankiness for the people who are watching the stream here. Okay, hello stream. Sorry about that. There was no sound on that scene, but there should be now. Can you confirm that you can hear us? Okay, good. Thank you. Apologize. You didn't miss much. All I was just making sure was that CCP Nomad has adequately scaled up the cell so that we could read what he's typing. But if it's still too small for people on the stream, please just let me know in Twitch chat. We'll see if we can boost it up a little bit more. But go ahead, CCP Nomad.
Yeah. So how to get the add-in? If you just start your desktop Excel, you go to insert my add-ins here, then to the store, and then here search for EVE Online, and that's it really. Then you add the add-in from here. It will ask you a couple of questions, and you end up having it in your home bar, like so, on the right, from where you can access the add-in itself, where you can add the characters. So when you click on it, you get the tab with the add-in. I'll just say that also you can get it from the web Excel. So if you just open your browser and write excel.new, then it will open a new Excel workbook for you, where you can follow the same steps and add the add-in from there. So after you have the add-in, you can add your characters. So currently I have 2 characters here. Maybe I'll just remove one of them to show you how to add one. And you get the normal Excel, normal EVE SSO login that you could be familiar with.
That's
if you
not
ever
showing on
use.
your screen because you're sharing, because
All right.
and I did ask you to share the app, so that's on me, but I'm sure everyone in Twitch chat knows what the EVE SSO login window looks like. It's where you put in username and password and it shows you the characters on that account and you choose which ones you want. You agree to the scopes and then you're good.
Exactly that. Yes, and from there you can select the characters you want to authorize. So it's all the same process that most of the players will be familiar with. So yeah, that's how you get the add-in. And here it has all the functions categorized in 3 categories. Whereas public, those are functions that are not related to your corporation or character per se. This is public information, really. Then character, which require you to provide a character for the functions. So for example, if you want to check the skills of a character, then you will find the function here. Like so, for example, each function has a try it out button, which is very useful. When you click on it, the function will be copied to the cell you have selected. So in this case, I'm using the character skills, and there's no attribute supplied here. That means it's skills for both of my characters at the same time. So if I want only one character, I can here get all my characters, for example, and provide this function with just one of them. And now I have the skills from one of my characters. And I will show how that works in other sheets that have been prepared. So you can download the example workbook from the Help Center article about the EVE Online Excel add-in. At the very bottom, there is a link here to the example workbook. It's also linked in the news item that we released today. And that workbook contains a lot of useful information, what you can do with the add-in. Do you want me to show some of that off, or should I do that later? I don't remember what the schedule of.
There isn't really a schedule. It's just like, let's just move through. As long as you get to talk about all the things and show all the things you want to show, I'm cool with that. So whatever order you think is going to be most naturally. I will just say really quick, I've seen 1 or 2 people in Twitch chat saying like, will this work on Office 365? I believe the answer to that is yes. Somebody else had said that they're not able to see the add-in. Unfortunately, we can't really provide support for you right now on this stream. There is a subforum on the EVE Online forums. There's also we can also ask on the EVE Online Discord. Someone who's gone before you may be able to guide you into what you need to be doing. So if anyone is watching this live and currently trying to like get the plugin set up, I'm afraid I can't. We can't give you any help right now in Twitch chat.
Yeah, getting help from the community is great, but you can also just send a support ticket, and our customer support will handle it as well.
Sure. All right. Sorry. Carry on.
Yes. So those are like examples how you can use the functions from here. For example, what other stuff I can say or I can show, like inventory search. So this function will provide, for example, here it is supplied with the word Rifter, and it returns all the types that have Rifter in its name. Right? So that's one way of searching for particular types. What also is important about this add-in, that it is built utilizing the entity data cards. So every entry here is actually multi-dimensional data in one cell that you can access by clicking on its icon, where it shows a little modal window with all the information contained within that cell. And that you can then extract into other cells next to it. So, for example, we have this Rifter absent hero skin, whatever that is, or maybe blueprint will be better to show. And I can have access to all the attributes of that particular cell, which in this case is specific item type. So I can have its volume, for example, which is 0.1 cubic meters for a blueprint, obviously. So that way you can build the spreadsheets the way you want. You have access to all the information, and the information is nested within cells. So for example, this one, if we extract the type from it, okay, so this is type already. Maybe I'll later show another example. What does it mean? If, for example, I get for a blueprint, function that shows a blueprint. So character blueprints, that's okay. So my characters have just one blueprint. Those are just testing characters. And that blueprint have, for example, all the information that you would expect a blueprint to have. So I have the material efficiency, time efficiency, type, and so on.
I see it's also got like the location and things like that. So
yeah,
you can also make a spreadsheet to track your own assets.
Absolutely. So I've made a few examples. I will just show them.
Mm-hmm.
So this shows all your characters. So basically this call is active character without any character provided. It will show you all the characters that you have authenticated. And for each of those characters, it shows a few different values, like total assets, ISK wallet, how many skill points, how many skills, and so on. Here, if you want to go deeper into the skills of specific character, you can choose one of the authorized characters, and it will populate with all the skills of that character, will group them, and it will even show you a chart showing where those skill points are.
Nice.
Yes.
Now, someone asked in Twitch chat, can you also use this to see how much time you got left to go on like Amiga for certain characters and stuff? Or
no.
I was going to say, or is literally the first question I pull out of Twitch chat the one that the answer is like, no, that's the one thing we didn't do. All right.
No.
Well, there's your answer anyway.
Yeah. So you were asking about assets.
Yeah.
So, for example, this call here, even line character assets, will return all the assets. For example, in this case, it is from all the characters that have been authenticated, because I haven't provided any particular character in the function call. So you can tell those are noob characters because they don't have that much.
So you could throw in a character ID into that, and it will just narrow it down by that character. And you could have a separate tab for every one of your characters and just like click on it and
yes,
see where
definitely.
located.
And it's not only the character ID that you can provide the character entity, right? Which is this very thing. So you can refer to this cell when making that call. So you don't need to know the IDs necessarily. You don't need to operate with IDs. You can always use the entities themselves in most of the functions.
That's cool.
So yeah.
So
the last one?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I will show just the last one about manufacturing. Okay, if I make it bigger, it doesn't fit, but we'll manage. So in this one, this is a calculator of profits for manufacturing that takes into consideration all the parameters that really matter. So here, let's say we choose a blueprint, let it be Caracal, and then it calculates automatically all the profits that I can get from it based on all the inputs that I can provide.
I can see here it's got the material efficiency and time efficiency. The blueprint is taken into account, what kind of structure it's built in, manufacturing system cost, what tech level the rigs. So the quality of the blueprints, the quality of the infrastructure that you're using, and I assume incorporates your skills as well.
Yes, absolutely. And this will show you a result where the red line shows the sales price for this item, and the bars show the actual cost, which is the material cost, the job installation cost, and the market-related cost altogether. And this shows 3 different scenarios, where the first bar is your scenario that you are experimenting with. The middle one is the worst possible scenario, as in unresearched blueprint, and you are doing that in station with no bonuses. And this is the best possible scenario. So you can see that there is space to improve right? Your own efficiency. You can make money producing this very item if you want it. It's just a matter of comparing which attributes I want to improve. Like in this case, the best scenario has the fully researched BP, so maybe I can get that too. And maybe I should do that in Sotio instead of Writeru. That gives me better bonuses, and so on and so forth. And when you do all the calculations and you finally come positive for what you need, for example, this one, the building is in JITA, which has 23% industry cost index. Don't build stuff in JITA.
Every time I do an Abyssal run, I come back and I'm like, oh, I got a VedMac blueprint copy. I just right click, buy all from JITA, throw it in the oven, pull it out again. I don't even think about it. I'm such an idiot.
Yeah. So for example, if we change it to .exe, just for example, it drops to 6%.
Oh.
So that already tells you that you just saved like 16% of the value of the item in profit potentially. And here you get a bit of bill of materials that you can just select and copy and paste it to the multi-buy in the game. Buy the stuff that you need to manufacture the item.
You could drill down even further, I imagine, and sort of, rather than doing minerals here from the bill of materials, you could take that into ore, bring in your mining skills for if you've got mining alts and things like that, and you can figure out exactly what your actual profit margin is going to be if you mine your own ore, because everyone knows that mining ore is free. So you can take that into account. Jakob, like when it came to all of this stuff, like what was the actual nature of the collaboration between CCP and Microsoft on this? Like, what did a typical email exchange look like, or how did it actually work? How much teaching CCP about Excel was involved, and how much teaching Microsoft about Eve was involved?
I think the main thing that we did for this was to make something. So we started out doing a few basic demos that were then shown at the FanFest last year. And that was just a small script that demonstrated the capabilities of Excel that we thought could be useful for this add-in. Mostly the data types that Daniel is showing us right now, and it's sort of a central piece of the whole experience. And then after the FanFest, we worked on a proof of concept prototype that interfaced with the Eve API and brought the real data into the whole experience. And at some point, the CCP team completely took over that code base and evolved it into what you're seeing right now. And from that, Daniel has really created some incredible Excel spreadsheets. We showed some examples of what could be done, but it's this is completely taking it so much further in what is possible with the building blocks of the add-in.
Yeah, taking it further is right. I know someone in chat, when Daniel was showing the sheet with the build graphs on it, they're like, which craft is this? But one thing I glossed over at the start, Jakob, is just like you're the product designer at Microsoft for Microsoft Office. What does that job actually entail? What's your day-to-day look like?
Well, my day-to-day is trying to learn a lot about the needs of Excel users, or more generally spreadsheet users, or users that work with data. So I spend a lot of time connecting with customers, and in this particular case, it was not only players of Eve, but it's also CCP and the team there to really understand what is this from, or should this be from a user experience perspective, but also from a business perspective. And then it's really like working with feature crews within the Excel team to come up with solutions that cater to those needs, and figure out a way that we can build that and bring it out to market. In parallel with this project, we also worked on the programming interfaces in Excel that allows the add-in to actually deliver or return the data types onto the Excel grid. That was not something that was completed or done. There was a feature crew of engineers working hard to realize that within Excel.
That's cool. Is that something you'll be able to now deploy in other ways, apart from just what you've done here with the Eve add-in?
Oh yeah, it's been out there for a while and available to developers to use to create these data types that are really quite unique and some quite an innovation in the category of spreadsheets, because traditionally and from the beginning, spreadsheets has been about putting numbers and text on a grid and then connecting that with formulas. But what data types brings to the spreadsheeting experience is really these sort of rich values, complex objects that can be put into a cell and treated as values that you can, as you saw Daniel do, extract specific values from it and so on. And also in some cases, complex nested values within those data types, or list of things like, for example, the materials on a blueprint and things like that.
And I assume over the years, we mentioned before that this is the first video game that you've sort of Microsoft Excel has like collaborated with, but there's no doubt a whole bunch of other, let's say, drier applications and other data sets that you've probably collaborated with before. How would you characterize working with a game company versus, a more, I won't say the word professional because we're all professionals here, but let's say like a more mainstream utilitarian third party?
Well, I think it's been fascinating to be introduced to a world that was unfamiliar to me. I've not worked with a game company before. I don't want to say that it's particularly different in the approach in how the people that I've worked with at CCP has thought about this whole project in terms of formulating the goals and how they've thought about what should go into the add-in and so on. I think you would see that other places as well. There's just one thing that really comes to my mind for this project is that I think that in terms of mission of what the add-in should do and also our mission at Microsoft, which is really this. The reason why we go to work is to empower every person on the planet to really achieve more. And that's been one of the guiding principles of developing this add-in, and really something that the team at CCP has been putting front and center in this, is really, let's make sure that more players of Eve can get access to the data and do more with that data, and also make the game more approachable for those players, and especially new players that may not have the developer skills to build one of the very elaborate solutions that are out there outside of the game today.
Yeah, that's something that Oz mentioned actually when he was speaking earlier, is that how this add-in isn't really going to be super useful to him because he's got the ability to create all these bespoke tools himself, but it just lowers the barrier of entry for everybody else. And it means all the people who didn't know, I mean, so Oz, for example, the Adam for Eve website that you often show during your live streams, every time sure your regular viewers are very, very much used to seeing it, but every so often Oz will come and do just a guest stream on the CCP channel, and he'll do his normal show but just on this platform, and just because it's the CCP channel, a lot more people sort of come in because you're all little skin goblins and you want to go and get skins probably, but they're always captivated when they actually start watching your stream, particularly when you show off that Adam for Eve utility, just like how powerful it is, and the number of people who just don't know that it exists, right, automatically gives a massive advantage to people who know how to exploit the tools that are already in the ecosystem. The really, really good array of third-party tools that our third-party developers have been making for years on Eve and have done a fantastic job. But this is just a spreadsheet. You click on add a plugin, and then a CCP Nomad was showing you before, you just have a bunch of stuff on the side and you can just begin to play with it, and it just kind of unfolds in front of you, just what you can do with it.
I just said that last week on my stream. I think using tools like Atom for Eve or even Jeeve assets, you're probably above 80% of the player base already.
It's almost cheating, isn't it? Just by knowing it exists.
It's so powerful that you can make very good money in EVE Online just using those tools. And now it's going to be very interesting to see what this democratization is going to do to profits in trading in EVE. Because the question is, how little effort is too much? Because I think now nobody has an excuse. There's really no excuse left to not build a spreadsheet, and really maybe we can drop that 80% number down to 50% of people that are now using the data.
Yeah, I did fish this one question out of chat before. I don't know if anyone in the chat is in the stream, excuse me, is in a position to answer it, but it was from Chris Matica, who just said, will there also be an API for LibreOffice, or is it exclusively for Microsoft Excel? I'm not familiar with LibreOffice. Microsoft Excel, I assume it's like a competitor or something like that. I don't believe we haven't been working with anyone from that end to develop that. Some people have also asked about Google Sheets plugin. I believe there's actually something similar to this floating around, which is community made, but I don't know any details on that. But I'm going to keep this one to Excel anyway. CCP Nomad, did you manage to get through everything that you wanted to? I thought your cam frozen there for a second. Then you moved your eyes. By the way, Caldari Prime Pony Club wants you to start recording audiobooks, so he can listen to your dulcet tones on the way to work, probably.
That's nice to hear.
Yeah. Did you get
Convict, there was one more question in chat that I thought was very interesting.
Oh yeah, if you guys spot anything, just like call them out.
Yeah, they fly by, but one of them I read and I was curious about it. That's we know a lot of things this add-in is going to make easier that before you had to use the API for. Or various other ways. Is there anything that this add-in can do that wasn't possible before? And this question, I can't answer it, but maybe Jakob or Nomad, maybe you guys can think of something that is now possible that wasn't even possible before.
Well, one of the things that wasn't available in the Easy API was actually the information about blueprints. Like the only way to get blueprints from that API was through the static file download. And as part of this, I believe the team enabled an API for blueprints, which is used by the add-in. I don't think the add-in is using the static file download anymore.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, that is correct. Some of the data isn't available in ESI, and we made it into the add-in.
I also want to say that there's some we started out making some really simple functions, like for example the product search that Daniel showed earlier, and things like that. And then toward the end of the project, we got into making something that was more and more complex, and also is very, very complex when you play the game. So for example, this is not only about getting data, but there's also some functions that does some computation. For example, the blueprint explosion function that can take a set of types and actually quantities, and then compute what is the complete material need for this, and like what is the excess materials that you will have at the end of this. So give that a try. It's fairly complex, and I think in many regards, like the functions that are in the add-in now is really just a sort of version 1.0. Like it's just the beginning of what can be done with this, and hopefully we'll continue to add new and interesting things to it.
Cool. Let me see. I just saw another question here. Oh yeah, just first to address something. I mentioned this at the top of the stream or earlier in the stream, but maybe it was missed. But you can actually use this in Office 365 for free. This plugin. You just need to go there and make an account, I believe is the case. Damn. Somebody asked if they can use this to pull solar system data and things like that. I don't believe so, right? Because this is all bound to endpoints that you can access through the character.
So solar system data depends on what data we are talking about
So,
here. But
you could do things like the mining index, strategic mining index, and
yes.
yeah, those kinds of things, right? I think this
Yes.
person was talking about like, oh, can I make a spreadsheet to identify kills and things like that? But I doubt that is taken into account here. No, that wouldn't be. So you can't make an Excel version of Zkill. Sorry about that. Let me see.
There is a question though on push
Thank
capabilities from Nickpaw, and one of the very cool things is the orders stream. So you can actually there are some functions in here, at least one that I know of, that updates every few minutes based on in-game data. So that's highly relevant for traders like me when you're monitoring orders and prices across Eve. So you don't have to. The way I do it now is I have in my spreadsheets, I have buttons that I click and then 100 functions run, right? In the background. For here, this is actually one thing that that is less tedious now in this add-in.
Ludwig van Rechthoven says this is great for someone like me. Thank you. I'm glad that's exactly what we want to hear. Let me see. CCP Nomad, did you sort of get through everything that you wanted to show on your sheets there, or did you have some other things up your sleeve? I just want to know whether or not we should move on to what Oz was cooking, or if you still got more to talk about.
We can move to Oz. I think it's best if people explore that example sheet themselves.
Yep.
And build their own contraptions.
Yeah.
And then share them. Please do share your stuff when you build it. This is an inspiration for us, because this whole thing started as being inspired by third-party tools that we all use and love when we play Eve. So the more new stuff we see made by you guys in the Excel add-in will inspire us more to add more functionalities. So yeah, we can move to Oz.
All right, cool. So what are you going to be doing for us, Oz?
Yeah, so I'm going to start with a completely blank sheet, and I'm going to build some of the backbones that I would use to start a trading spreadsheet, like I have before in using other tools and using API calls. Feel free to Convict, if you can keep an eye on chat and pass the questions, because I'm going to be basically live coding here.
Well, we'll try. Your little feed here is a little bit janky. Let's see if it clears up while using it. Sorry about this, folks.
No worries. Is that better now?
No, it's at least on my end. I assume on stream 2, it's a little bit
small,
a bit low. No, it's not so much the matter of the zoom. It looks like. What am I trying to say? It looks artifacting a little bit, like it's being heavily compressed. Doesn't matter. Carry on. Okay. We'll battle through.
So first of all, I'm going to throw some shade on Nomad here, but this is how you spot the professional Excel streamer. I made everything black, Nomad, because I know people scream at me all day for having light spreadsheets. So this is for our basement dwelling friends. The dark spreadsheet. So everything that I would do starts with wallet transactions, right? So we would want to pull in the wallet transactions, and with this add-on, it's so super easy, because all I can pull in here is I put in Eve, and I see basically all of the functions that I have, and I can over here pull go to my character and go to wallet transactions, and if I put this custom function in there and I actually leave everything blank, then what this is going to do, this is going to pull in all transactions that are relevant for the characters that I've loaded in here. Now these are some of my this is my streaming character and 2 owls, as you can see here. And this automatically now pulled in all of the wallet transactions for the last month, I believe, is what it does without any additional variables in there. So This is great, but as if you're building spreadsheets a lot, you already can see, okay, what is this? This only has like the item name. So the reason for this is because you can use this card right here. This actually contains all of the information for that transaction. Yep.
Let me see. We might have to redo the screen share just due to the fact that because of the way I think I told you to, or I asked you to do this, people aren't getting the cards showing up in the stream. Let me just confirm with Twitch chat they're not seeing the drop downs and things like that.
I can share one entire screen if you want me to.
Yeah, let's try and do that. Let me bring it back in here, and we'll monkey around a little bit. All right, we're back here.
You want me to stop and share the entire screen?
Yeah, actually, you know what, chat? Let us just do this under the cloak of an OPSEC screen, because it's just going to get really ugly for a minute. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And see if confirm the card comes up, and then we're back in. Yep, I think stream can see that now. We should be good. All right, thank you for bearing with us, Twitch chat, while we got that sorted out. You should be able to see all of the drop downs and pop-ups and stuff now. Please, Oz, carry on.
Yeah, perfect. So this is all the wallet transactions that I pulled in with one formula, so it just took me 10 seconds, right? The great thing that I can do in here now is I can pull in all the information for the transactions that I want to see, right? And it's even easier than building the spreadsheet myself, because I can now say, okay, give me the type, which returns the actual item, right? I can say, give me the unit price, right? If I give that the right type of formula right there, or a format, I can pull in the owner, right? So it'll return the character immediately of this transaction. I can also do something like quantity, right? And immediately I would have a sheet that is very, very useful and very customized for how I want to look at my transactions. And the great thing is I can actually now pull all of this down, and it will replicate down, right? So this takes me literally 2 seconds to pull together a transaction sheet that I used to pull out of Jeev assets just like this. And here it's even easier to customize it, right? So these are transactions. Now, here's the thing that blew my mind the first time I used this, because not only did I pull in the transactions here, I connected the type, right? So in this case, this looks like it's just the item, but it's much more than just the item, because since I can connect the type to the transaction, I can now also pull in all of the information of the actual item that was in that transaction. So this is a rabbit hole that is now associating different tables with each other. So having done that, I can pull in the average price, right? I can pull in stuff like the icon. I can pull in the volume of the item. So this becomes just very interactive, very, very easy to use. And again, I can just pull this down and immediately have a sheet that is a very powerful transaction sheet. Now, transactions is one thing that I use a lot, right, for trading, obviously. For this, what you could, there's a myriad of things that you can do with this now. This would, this would totally be way more than we can cover today. But I could now, based on this, I could calculate the average price I used to buy the item at, etc. Everything that I used to do, But this gives me all of the raw data that I need to do any type of shenanigans that I want to then do with the data. The other thing Nomad alluded to earlier, let me make this also a little bit bigger here. You guys can actually see this. So the other thing is,
I can't see the cell borders. Is that?
Oh, no, that's just because
Oh, good. I'm just making sure it's not. If we're not.
This is because this is something for Jakob, because I have to do it like this because Excel doesn't have a dark mode. I'm hoping it has the dark mode for up here, but it doesn't have the dark mode for down here. So this is how I have to do the workaround for it.
Don't waste the opportunity to get your wish list in, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't get to sit with Microsoft every day.
I'm taking notes here.
Okay, thank you. This is coming from an Excel streamer.
But I do have that. When you're done, I have a trick that I want to teach you when we're done. But let's see.
I'm all ears. So Nomad alluded to this earlier, but pulling in assets is also fantastically easy. Eve character assets. I can do this, and it's going to pull in every single asset that I have. And yes, this is the Oz. This is a lot of assets. So again, this is pulling in this card, so I can have a look at this card, and I can look at all of the items that I can pull in here. And again, I can link this again to the type, which will then open up a whole nother set of additional columns that I can pull into the spreadsheet. But for assets, again, let's pull in something like the owner is very relevant, because I have 3 characters here, and I didn't specify the actual character in the formula, so it pulled in the assets for all of my characters. I can pull in the location. That's important. All my stuff is at Jita. But if I wanted to find out how much is in the triple T that I need to evacuate, or it's probably too late now, then this would be an easy way to do that. And again, I can take this, I can pull this down, and there you have it. Again, this item again is the location. From the location card, I can then pull in things like the region ID for Jita, right? And so, bam, I've got the region ID. All the stuff that in the old times you had to pull out of the SDE. I have like 20 spreadsheets that just have static data that I refer to all the time, right? And those that's something that I can now do with this super easily, because I can very easily go in here and pull this data right here. The only reason this throws an error is because this is an enormous freight container that obviously doesn't have a region code.
Glow Hollow asks, can you also do this same thing with like corporation assets?
Yes. So it's the same thing right here. Instead of character, I can put in Eve. I would have to delete this other stuff so I don't confuse it. But if we go down here, we have exactly all the same formulas for corporation. So orders, assets, transactions, wallet journal, all for corporations you can pull in. So if this is a holding corp, so who knows if we have corporation assets, but I'm willing to try. And I probably have to specify. Yeah, I have to specify either a search string or a corporation ID.
But in theory, yes,
it works absolutely.
Can you do contracts as well? I suppose if they're contracts, that character was made.
I haven't tried contracts because I don't like. I'm the feel free to answer.
We've added contracts yesterday.
Cool.
I believe we've added.
I did see
for
contracts.
Sure they are in the version. I'm not sure about the public. Yep. But I think yes.
One thing that I do want to show is somebody asked earlier in chat about trading history. Market history. That's the endpoint that was. That was missing for a long time that we were all crying about. And we can pull a lot of history into here now. This is just very complex. People when people ask in chat, can you pull in market prices and everything? A market price in Eve, right, is not a singular thing. It's a very variable thing. There are regions, there are points in time, there are stations. there's no such thing as a price for an item, because there's a reason why all traders only look at the percent price, as we nickname it, right? The percent price is the top 5% of sell orders aggregated, because the cheapest item on the market doesn't mean anything to me when I want to buy 100 billion of it, right? I need to have things at scale. So the way that the add-in, and Nomad and Jakob, you guys have to jump in, because I'm talking about your product here, but the market history is something that that is done differently, but I want to show it because I know a lot of people are curious about it. So if we pull the market history in here, then I have to specify here a region and a type ID. Otherwise, this would be way too big, right? Of course, this being me, I know this by heart, but I don't blame you if you don't know the Forge region code by heart, right? And let's go with Tritanium 34, as everyone knows. And we can that was this is the German way to write the formula. There you go. And so immediately I have pulled in with these two variables that I know by heart, but with this you can very easily pull it in with other information as well. I have pulled in the market history for Tritanium in the Forge, right? So what I can do here now is I can look at the history, and I think this helps a lot. If I look at the card information now for the market history, then we see here that in this case the history is not linear, but the history shows the average pricing over time with high, low. So everything that you can get from the market history endpoint as well, you can get here. It's just a little bit more difficult to display it. So if we were to pull in the entire market history right now, you see what happens here. This now pulls in a card for the market history for every single day of the last I don't know, month or so. No, it's much longer than that, right? So from here I can then again drill down and get the highest price, get the lowest price, for example. And what this now does is this shows me a nice little table of the high and low price of Tritanium in the Forge over the last X time period. And so this is the data is all there. It's easy to pull in. What you do from it is going to be amazing to see over the next few weeks, right? People like me and 1,000 others that do this even better than me are going to jump on this, create great templates. And I think the real power in this is going to be when we all exchange our templates, or sit on them like goblins and use them for profit.
Amazing stuff. Does that conclude what you wanted to show on the stream there?
Yeah, sure. The maybe one absolute last thing would be.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to have any problem with watching more of this. Go right ahead.
So I mean, you cut me off. It's as usual, Convict. You just cut me off whenever.
No,
I get too nerdy. So market orders is another big thing for traders, right? If you want to see your orders, so you can pull in character orders right here. Also the history, so expired orders or canceled orders. But the interesting thing is just orders. And now I can put in a character ID here of the Oz, but I can also just leave it blank, and it pulls in, just like it did before, it pulls in all the orders for all the characters. Now, you can see that this account isn't extremely active right now, but these are the orders that this account right here has going at the moment. Again, this is a card, so one order means one card. What I can do here is I can look at the card again and see all the information about that order, but the magic of Excel comes to life when I actually say, well, I need to know again what type is this, so what's the actual item. I would like to know what the price is that I actually have on this order. I also need to know the volume remaining. That's very interesting, right? The total volume isn't as interesting as the volume remaining. And I would like to know this little field, which I appreciate. This was probably a Jakob Nomad. This was a challenge on how to display this, but the is buy order is an elegant way of saying, is this a buy order or a sell order? And so this way we draw this down, and you can see here it says false, false, false. That just means these are all sell orders. So that's all that means. And if you use this as a raw data and you build stuff on top of this, probably you just rename it for your own spreadsheets. And so you can see here that I have these items for this price at this remaining quantity, and they're all sell orders. And then I can start. I can by freehand improvise formulas, right? So I can go in here and I say, okay, price times quantity is the total value of this order, right? We put this down, put a nice little sum on top of this, and boom, I've got 31 billion sell orders outstanding right now, right? I also need to know where they are. Now, you guys know me. These are going to be all in GDAP, but for everyone else, this is not going to be the case. Oh, look. Oh, no.
Oh, shit.
Oh, no.
You better get onto
Goodbye.
that.
Yeah. So this is asset safety.
I feel compelled to be the professor here and just teach you a little trick, Oz. Your demo is fantastic, and you're really showing the capabilities of the whole thing. But there's one thing I want to show you, because you're doing this copy down, which is very common for Excel users, that you want to do that. But how about you just delete all of the things that you copied down, except for the first line where you have the formulas? Yes.
There.
Good. And then you go to each of the formulas. What you have there, and it says, what does it say? A6 dot something. And then just after A6, you put in a pound sign. Yeah.
Okay, hash, right?
A hash.
Yeah, a hash. Yeah.
Yep.
And you just hit enter on that.
Ah,
and you can do that on the other
beautiful.
ones as well. The neat thing about this is that if the list in column A changes in the length, like there's more orders or coming in or fewer and so on, that will actually dynamically update. And this is a feature of dynamic arrays in Excel. I hope that, I know that there's Excel engineers on this listening to this Twitch, and if they haven't left and started coding up why Excel is not inserting that, or automatically, but let's see, maybe we'll do that someday.
Jakob, coming today was already worth it now. This is already the best day of the week.
By the way, you can do the same in column F, where you have multiplication.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I just have to do it right there.
No, yeah, just delete.
Yeah.
Delete that part and just do the first row, the first cell with pound signs in both.
Like that?
No, D6 hash, right? Multiplied by whatever that is.
D6 hash. Yes. Perfect.
And put the hash here. Yep.
Yes. Look at that. I get to learn something. Yeah, so I think you guys can see that this is, when you get started in this, it's a rabbit hole, because you can build this out to whatever you want it to be. This is really just me playing around in 10-15 minutes, and as I said earlier, this is I can't wait to see what you guys do with it. Back to you, Convic.
All right. We're sort of getting to where we'll probably wrap this up. Stream. There's been so many questions in Twitch chat while you're talking, like, can it do this specific thing? Can you look up this specific thing? What about this? What about that? Afraid we can't go through all those things in minute detail tonight, friends, but you can just grab it yourself. Like Office Online with the plugin is free. You can start playing around with it, and you can try your hand at all these kinds of things here. And pinned at the top of Twitch chat, the link to today's news item, which I believe contains like links to a template for people to start the one that you were moving around before, CCP Nomad. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
That's okay. The template, the demo sheet that you were playing with before, that's included in the news item?
Yes, it is in the news item and also in the Help Center article.
All right. So it's a brave new world for spreadsheet enthusiasts and EVE Online. Someone made the comment before that there was a you know, like, is this the most people who've ever watched an Excel stream? I'm going to say no, because there is like an Excel esport, isn't there, Jakob?
Yes, there is.
That's correct. That there's also Excel esports, but I want to say that I think that the people at Microsoft working on this project has really been surprised about how much interest there has been in this add-in from when we first launched it at FanFest till now. So that's super exciting.
No, it's excellent, and like we've said multiple times on the stream already, we really can't wait to see what you do with these now that you've got it into your own hands, because it won't necessarily be people all out for themselves trying to get a leg up either. You'll have these wonderful philanthropists like Oz here, who sort of, I'm sure he keeps some of the really good stuff for himself, but is usually very, very forthcoming with like his sources and his methods, and likes to really educate other people about how to take advantage of commodities and markets in New Eden. So I'm expecting a lot of people to be creating templates for this with the express purpose of sharing it with other people too. So even if with the access to the plugin, you're still not the most confident with designing spreadsheets, you'll still be able to get your hands on some really good stuff as a result of this, because as we mentioned before, as we've seen with third-party developers, EVE Online players are incredibly generous with their time and their work. So these things will make it into your hands. But unironically, since Microsoft Excel is pretty much its own esport, and because we have an alliance tournament, wouldn't it be neat if we had some sort of Excel PvP tournament in EVE Online? Maybe that's something we'll start workshopping tomorrow in the community team and see if there's any possibility we can figure out what we can do with that before FanFest, because, oh boy, there's a lot of work leading up to that in September. But we'll see. But that's enough for us for tonight. The longer we talk, the less time you can get, the longer it'll be before you can sit down and start playing with yourself in earnest. So check out the news item that's linked at the top of Twitch chat, or just go to the EVE Online website and look at the news, and you can read the news item from today, which has all the information that you need to get your hands on this and get up and running. CCP Nomad, sorry, only one CCP apart from the CCP Nomad, Oz, and Jakob, thank you so much for giving us some of your time to talk about this tonight. It's a lot later than our usual streams outside business hours, but so that just makes it extra cool that you made the effort to come out here. Before we sort of step out, is there anything that anyone wanted just to say with regards to Excel or anything else? All right. Oz, are you doing a stream this weekend?
I am.
Do I take a minute to plug yourself?
Sure. I you know, most of you have seen me probably on here. My show is always Saturdays at around 8 p.m. UTC, 10 p.m. Central European time. I mean, Convict, you have to tell me if I have a CCP guest this weekend. But
oh yeah,
you know,
yeah,
we're hoping to have a CCP guest this weekend again, and probably
we'll see. I've been kind of sandbagging you there because I've just been trying to get this out of the way first. But we'll see. But
it's looking quite good. But either way, I do a show where we do market trading and a lot of spreadsheeting, and so if you want to learn about this sort of stuff, the spreadsheets and making a ton of ISK in EVE Online, then tune in. It's twitch.tv/Oz_Eve.
Right on. Bird on U9. Sorry, I wasn't able to do any. Birds on Uni Inc. I wasn't able to do any skin raffles today because I was too busy mashing buttons. There was a lot of moving parts to the stream on the back end, which I might have been able to tell due to its like higher than normal jankiness and my higher than usual flusteredness while I've been speaking tonight. But it's all sort of worked out. But don't worry, you got your channel points. You'll be able to claim one of those going out skins soon, and you'll be able to come and tune in on Friday when we do Live to Feed. We'll definitely do some raffles for that one. But we'll finish it up there. Thank you so much for coming and watching, everyone. We'll send you off on a little raid. Thanks again to all of our guests, and we'll see you again on Friday for Live to Feed at 1500 UTC. Yeah. Bye.